All right, welcome back to the Mansdem. Once again, I'm your host. It's the Herb, Mark Herbert, and I have been joined by my good friend Henley Jesus Noir. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir.
Just in case you're wondering where all the frilly stuff is of the overlays and such, this is actually my first attempt at live streaming.
See how it
So
goes.
we'll see how it goes. If it bombs out, you know what I mean? I'll hit the delete button and we'll try it. Our rendition of old school. So again, welcome back to the Mansdem. What we're looking to talk about today is there's a big event, so to speak, in the world of professional basketball. Former Commissioner David Stern passed away, and we just want to spend a little time, to point out some of the things that he brought to the game and discuss the state of the game and how it relates to his contributions. So I'll let you start off.
Well, first, I think obviously David Stern is one of the best commissioners, if not the best commissioner in sports history, at least in North American sports history.
Mhm.
I mean, we look at the things that he had done with the NBA. He obviously revolutionized the way that we partake in our viewing of NBA.
How to monetize your stars, man.
But you know what though? But he was smart enough to be able to take those stars and say, you know what, let's market the game based on these stars.
Right.
I mean, you look at other sports leagues. I'm not going to mention which leagues, but one of them is quite prominent in our country here,
Mhm.
and they don't really market the game for their stars as much as
No,
the
they
NBA
don't.
did. They're more about team play, which I can understand that on that level. But when you look at the fact that you have NBA players like Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, the guys who kind of held the torch and brought the NBA into this era that it's in right now.
Mhm.
You look at the fact that, I mean, it would have, if you look back at it and say, we wouldn't emphasize these guys, you would be kind of looking at it and thinking that this is ridiculous. You have these unbelievable, transcendent sports stars. You have to market the game based on these guys.
Yeah.
It just makes complete sense, right? So he clearly saw that. I mean, you have, the shoe industry was kind of, I guess, getting more popular as far as like basketball shoes were concerned. So obviously, when Jordan kind of came in, that completely revolutionized everything. I mean, it pretty much made Nike into the monster that it is in the shoe industry.
Yeah.
So you got things like that kind of helped, and David Stern kind of was a visionary that saw that this guy's a high flyer. People like dunks; those are exciting. Let's market this guy and take him to not just an elite level but to the stratosphere. And again, even before that, you got the natural rivalry that started from college with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
Yeah.
And it was a given almost that you can say, like, these two guys are on, not only were they rivals in college, but now they're coming and they're playing on the most iconic teams in the NBA, the Lakers and the Celtics.
Yeah.
This is a natural fit. It almost seems like you had to do this and you couldn't miss with something like that. But to be able to have have the vision to say, well, I'm going to take these guys and we're going to have these two teams that are historic rivals, the two best teams that have ever played in throughout the history of this league, and just kind of market them and kind of have them the little back and forth and kind of going with that and just kind of market the game on that and have these guys basically carry the game up into the higher levels and make it a really popular game, way more than what it was before.
Yeah. One of the things that I've always thought was ballsy for him, and it was right in the height of the Iverson era. When he instituted that dress code, right? Because again, from his standpoint, he's marketing a business, and to make that business attractive to people who are going to be investing in it, you didn't want to see people with the pants hanging off their ass and bunch of gold chains and wearing jerseys all the time.
Yeah.
And again, that was the total Iverson culture. So he got some backlash over that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like I said, I respect him for what for the fact that he saw the vision of, you have to think beyond, what these athletes have come from,
right,
to what they're now trying to promote.
Yeah.
Again, it's obviously been really lax the last few years with where fashion has gone.
If you want to call it fashion, right. I suppose that.
Where fashion has gone within the black and the NBA cultures, whatever, and pop culture. So it's really laxed out a little bit. So, guys are getting a lot more creative with what they wear. But I think that the whole dress code thing was really interesting. Something that he did, and I don't think it hurt the game. Obviously, I thought it was interesting, and I think you do have to rein it in.
Mhm.
And you want your business to be presented a certain way. So I mean, I respected him for that move, and that's one of the things that for me really stands out, because the culture went such a way when Iverson Mania was really at its height. And
I want to comment on that.
he kind of pulled it away from that, because you had that. Then you had the Jailblazers, which was a subculture of what they thought was it, and that's how they were looking at all the players, right? It's like they were thinking it was a bunch of thugs, and just a bunch of athletes. So he wanted to he needed to make that change to separate the gang culture.
It also
that comes with Black people, unfortunately.
But
from the sport,
it also coincided with the rise in popularity of hip hop as well, right? So I mean, like we were guys that grew up with hip hop and whatnot, but it wasn't as popular, and it was kind of starting to really become popular, and it kind of coincided with the NBA and all this fashion business that was going on, and it was kind of like a turning for Black culture, right? Where we kind of wanted to start being seen as not just underground and thuggish or whatever, but a little bit more respected, and being able to fit in with typical business culture. So that kind of helped out with that. My perspective, I think that David Stern with the dress code went a little bit too far, because I think part of, and what I was saying earlier was the how you market the stars and stuff like that. I think part of what was very cool with the stars when they would come in and dress with a certain way before the dress code is that you had a certain amount of individuality with those players.
Yeah.
And I like that. I mean, you'd see a lot of guys that would come in with jerseys, and you always see which different jerseys. You kind of get an understanding of who these guys respect or who they like, or jerseys or whatever, or stuff that's just like it goes with the look or whatever. But I mean, you kind of see different jerseys, and it was kind of cool to see who if a guy particularly wore retro jerseys, which were popular back then, you would say, okay, well, which one's he going to wear this time or whatever, right? So I think there was you kind of had a little bit of more individuality with the players on that level. But the problem with things like that is sometimes when you allow people to do things, then they take it too far, and so that I think there was a more of a middle ground that they could have had with the dress code, not completely bummy like what they were doing, and not
give me a business casual,
exactly,
not full on tuxedos and funeral suits and whatnot. So
I can't fault the vision. Because I completely 100% understand where he was going with that and understand why that made sense to him. But I think if he had looked at it more from the players and the perspective from the culture, that he could have been a little bit more lax with that.
For sure.
That's my opinion on that.
For sure. All right, we're going to pause real quick here and see if this is actually working the way we want it to, and we'll be right back. In the meantime, it's been the Mansdem. Thanks for tuning in. Right back at you. Okay, so